Guys, let's talk about things that are happening in the Senzo Meyiwa trial. You know what? I sit here and ask myself a question. You know, the judicial service, when they look at the Senzo Meyiwa trial, are they really proud? Is this the best that they can give? If this is the best that they can give, I'm sorry to tell them that it means we don't have judges. I looked at the NPA and I asked myself, is this the best that you can give? If this is the best, then it means you don't have prosecutors. Like, you're looking at what Baloyi is doing there and you're saying, hi. But thanks to the fact that we have watched other cases, we have faith because we know judges. You know, today, for instance, there's a judgment that was issued against Jacob Zuma. He lost a case where he was, they were trying to say that because the state witnesses have died, therefore they should be acquitted. Listen, we might have hoped for a different outcome, but we cannot falter the judge in his behavior and conduct. Never. Judge Erasmus, the best. Come on. How does a whole judge says to Advocate Mshololo, to Advocate Mnisi today? How does a whole 50 years experience what judge does that and it continues to be as business as usual in court, unprovoked, to Advocate Mnisi? What does the judicial say about that? Is that the best that they can give? They see nothing wrong with this. Judge Ratha must be disciplined. We cannot. Judge Ratha must be called into order. There must be discipline for Judge Ratha. He must be allowed to finish the case because we will delay the case. But at the end of it all, there must be inquiry about Judge Ratha's behavior. It's not as business as usual. And we cannot accept this behavior. We have seen the best. Like I'm saying, I would have hoped that Zuma won the case. That's me. I'm being honest. But the judge ruled not in favor of Zuma and Talis. Despite that, I cannot falter the judge's behavior. Never. Because the judge was professional in how he conducted himself. I cannot falter him. Guys, no. No, guys. Look at this.
It's wrong.
It is wrong. Let me explain how wrong it is.
No, you don't explain to a judge, please. You can argue against the judge.
Thank you, my lord. I will argue at the end of this trial.
I'm 55 years in this profession.
Thank you, my lord. I will argue at the end of this trial.
Jesus.
Thank you. Not actually.
In this profession.
Thank you, my lord. I will argue at the end of this trial.
Jesus.
Thank you. Not actually.
There's another incident that I want to show you where Brigadier Gininda changes his vision here and the judge assists him. And we must be okay with all of those things. We mustn't say anything, we must be fine because we just like complaining. We've been saying. The person who wrote and said, you guys are chowing time by this long lunch, a breakfast that takes sometimes 30 to 45 minutes. And they don't see anything wrong with that. Hey, till now we've seen the best trial. You see the one of Jocelyn Smith, Judge Erasmus. That man, we blame that man. That judge, we must blame him. Because he showed us something beautiful, something that we just cannot forget. That behavior, we cannot forget that behavior. Hey, that judge, if he says half past, you better know. It's either he's going to be there at 29 past, we start 30 or 31, we start. There will never be these breaks that are not understandable. That judge usfundisa something that, man, it's going to be difficult for us to unlearn. looking at what we are seeing there, it's a disgrace. Yes, that's a disgrace. But I'm praying and I'm hoping and I'm wishing that sooner or later we will hear that an official complaint has been filed against Judge Ratha Disrecpecting. And these things are the basis to which that complaint must be filed upon. Believe you me, sooner or later, somebody will file a complaint against Judge Ratha Disrecpecting. And it is coming. Because this behavior is unexplainable. Advocate Mnisi is cross-examining Gininda. Gininda is busy changing his versions, left, right, and center. Interview, not interview. As soon as Advocate Mnisi caught him on his ground, Mnisi says, oh, okay, so it was an interview, it was not an interview. Okay, it's fine. Let's read what you wrote. It was an interview. So why did you not bring all the necessary things if you were going to interview him? Baloyi stood up and said, no, my lord, let's remove the time. I'm like, Baloyi. Yeah, sometimes Baloyi says things that you kind of feel like a whole experienced lawyer who represents the state. The other time he says, motive doesn't matter. I'm like, how? Is this the best that the whole state prosecutor with a lot of experience says, the times doesn't matter. I'm like, but okay, even if then there's the lawyer, Advocate Mngomezulu, even if he doesn't have a problem with the time, but we are talking cross-examination here. A lot of things matters. But nevertheless, Advocate Mnisi says, I'm not worried about time. I'm talking about what you wrote here. You came to interview him. So if you remove the time, as Advocate Baloyi suggests, does it change the content? No. So you're like, but why are you objecting? A whole experience lawyer. That's why I said, the NPA looking at this, do they really think that this is the best that they offer? This is the best that they have to offer. The judicial, the judge president, Mr. Mlambo, looking at this, does he really feel that, you know what, I got the best judge? Is this the best that you can offer? Look at this, look at this.
You're telling this court that you already had information that this was a person of suspect. Now, with that in mind, you go and talk to him. That forms part of the broader investigation, of course. But you speaking to him, what did you call that?
Well, my lord, if counsel wants to call it interview, what I'm saying, my lord, is that because I understood, and I'm trying to move from the direction of what counsel is saying, I understand him to be referring to an interview in terms of formalities. But I
Sorry, is it the question of a language?
Yes.
It could be a discussion.
Yes.
It could be a consultation.
Indeed, my lord.
It could be an interview.
Yes.
It could be a talk.
Indeed, my lord.
But you don't want to use the word interview.
Interview, yes. That's the word I'm shying away from, my lord.
Thank you, Brigadier. There was a piece of a document yesterday that you handed in, which is your diary, and then you said that's where you inscribed everything, most of the things, or a summary of the things that happened. So do you still have that diary of yours?
Yeah, I do, my lord.
Yes. Wait. I'm talking about the diary, Brigadier Gininda. Let's get to the diary. Open the date of the 30th of May, Saturday, 2020, 30 May, Saturday 2020. And don't talk up until we have opened that. I'll guide you what to do when I just open that date.
All right, I'm on the 30th May.
Yeah, 30 May. At 13 hours, go there. There are time frames there. Let me just put on my spectacles because this handwriting, I think it can only be read by the person who wrote here. 13 hours. Are you on 13 hours on the diary?
Yes, I'm here, my lord.
Read what is written there.
It said I went to interview the suspect at Phosphorus around 1900 hours.
Thank you. And that comes from you, not so?
No, but which part now? What is written here? Because
who wrote here, Brigadier?
But it is me. But
thank you. And
no, my lord, I must
if it is you, no, Brigadier, don't argue with me. If it is you who wrote this, who then does this come from?
Yeah, but you're misreading the diary, and that's what I want to correct, Counsel, my lord. That is misreading the time frames. Because if you follow the sequence of the time, you will not be confused by the 1300 hours that is referring to. And that is why I wanted to explain.
No, Brigadier, I said read what is in 1300. I'm not concerned about what could have happened at 1300. I say read what is next to what is written 1300. And you have just read, it says, I went to interview the suspect at Phosphorus around 1930. I'm not concerned about the time. I'm concerned about the word that you yourself used. There's an objection. Let me respect the objection.
As a court, please, my lord, with the greatest of respect, I think, as Brigadier Gininda pointed out, that counsel is, as the witness put it, misreading the diary. He's trying to link the times on the diary to the entries. But the Brigadier says, I just made entries in the diary regardless of the time. So the times must be disregarded. Only the entries are important, the sequence of the entries. That's what the witness is saying. But counsel is trying to push the witness into a corner to say, but you made an entry at 1300 hours. It was just an entry and not linked to the time as such.
No, my lord. With due respect to my colleague, with due respect, I've just said to the witness here, I'm not concerned about time. I don't care what would have happened at 1300.
There are a lot of organizations. There's one that I can remember now on top of my head. It's called Judge Matters. Oh, we can't wait to hear you guys talking about this, laying an official complaint about this. We can't wait. Because if you think that you are going to convince us that this is the best that the judges had to offer, and you want us to trust judicial over what we are seeing there in court, guys, no. This is such a mediocre behavior. We must just tell it as it is. This is a mediocre behavior. We should not be subjected to this. We expect the best from this, from the court. We expect the best. The thing is that we are caught in between. We can't abandon this whole thing now. We're gonna start afresh. The painful thing is that the likes of Ntanzi, if we start afresh, they will still be kept in prison. At least if maybe we get a new judge. But before everything before everything will start, they first go through the bail hearing. Ntanzi get a bail. Then he attends the case outside, because we know that Ntanzi can attend the case outside. He can't be released on bail. It's only the others that I don't think they could be released on bail. So if we say that we want the trial to start afresh, the problem is we are subjecting Ntanzi to more stay in prison whilst he's not getting justice. You understand what I'm saying? So the most person who's going to suffer, it's Ntanzi. Case number 5, you know that, I can tell you this, even if the judge sentenced them all, maybe let's say 15 years, accused number 5 stands, accused number 5 will not lose anything. Remember that it already have multiple life sentence, right? You will find that those multiple life sentences are running concurrently. So they will say, we are sentencing you maybe 15 years, running concurrently with whatever that was happening. So what does it change to accused number 5? Nothing. Accused number 4, I think he was sentenced to 25 years. I'm not sure. 24, 25. Not sure. Even to him, even if you are sentencing him to 15 years more, you know, look, even if you're adding 15 years, you know what? They are most likely to say, accused number 3, your sentence ran concurrently. And then accused number 4, man, accused number 3, I'm not sure about the length of his sentence. But even accused number 3, because I think it got to do with murder, right? So it's probably 15, 18, 20 years. But you are most likely to hear that the sentence ran concurrently. The only people that get affected with this judgment, it's accused number 1 and accused number 2. Accused number 1, based on the fact that he was found guilty at Tembisa Magistrate Court, if I'm not mistaken. That sentence is probably going to be 6 years. So if you sentence him to 15 years, that's the only time he gets really affected. Accused number 1 doesn't have previous conviction, 0 case hanging over his head, unless there's any fabrication that will come along that they can create. Otherwise, there's no past conviction. So in other words, the person that gets to suffer the most is accused number 1. Second to that is accused number 2. The person that suffers the most is accused number 2. Second to that is accused number 1. Do you see this dilemma? So if you say that, let's start afresh, let's start de novo, you are destroying the lives of accused number 1 and 2. Do you see the dilemma? That is where I think it's the most difficult thing to do, because you will not be thoughtful and considerate towards accused number 1. And that's my problem. With all of this, guys, something has got to be done. An official complaint has got to be laid. It's not as business as usual. And we cannot allow this to go on as business as usual. Because it's not. It's not as business as usual.